welcome to episode 77 of Winging It. Gentlemen, you played a good game.
Gentlemen, you played a good game. It's not your fault, but this is fucking corruption.
I did tweet when he sold his stake to Woody Johnson that we might be cooked, considering how much of this podcast is ripping the piss out of John Textor. But we move. Got Hesketh and Albert both in. Albert,
yeah,
are you here?
Yeah, no, I was just. I meant to ask before you hit record: is this an end of season podcast or is it a pre-season podcast?
Fully living up to the name of Winging It.
Well, I just want to know. I want to know: should I still be happy about winning the FA Cup, or should I be miserable about the fact that we're going to get kicked out of Europe?
Okay, so the structure's going to go. The structure's going to go. Since we last spoke, we're going to have a little catch up on what's been going on, and then it's going to be full on Textor, Lyon, and Woody Johnson.
Full Woody.
Yeah, but I think in the structure, Woody Johnson will be bringing up the rear.
Good.
Very good. But first, I'm going to have a beer. I bought a couple of cans. I bought a couple of cans of, if you the eagle eye of you might have seen on Instagram that I found a collab between Beak and Daya breweries.
Oh shit!
Shit, son! They did a beer called Mellow, and it was fucking amazing.
Disgusting. Oh, amazing.
But I couldn't. It was in the fridge, and I just couldn't help but drink it. It didn't survive. So I've got Hepcat. So the staple.
What does that mean? A collab? Someone's just brought a bit of theirs, and someone's brought a bit of theirs, and they've just poured it into the same thing. Hey presto, you pay £8 a can for it.
No, £6.50.
Didn't deny the methodology, just the price point. No, that's not
I assume a couple of brewers from each brewery get together and knock up some ideas and make a beer.
Do you like a beer? Yeah,
You want to make a beer?
Like beer? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
What does your beer taste like? Arse. What does your beer taste like? Cheesy feet. Should we put a little bit of each in a can? Yeah, go on then. £8.
Lovely. What you got? Cruz Campo?
Yeah. It's a collab. It's a collab between Cruz
and Campo.
Yeah, and they've come up with a beer called Cruz Campo. Now, I know it's not my favourite. I know I'm not the connoisseur that you are. It isn't my favourite. Joe bought them. It's all that's in the fridge. Okay.
Fair enough. And now we've all been waiting for Hesketh.
What am I drinking? I'm drinking water.
Hesketh's drinking it's a collab between the hot tap and the cold tap.
Yeah.
little bit of that one, and then
between H2 and O.
One of my favourite collabs. That.
Oh, to be fair, I was drinking wine for like 5 hours yesterday afternoon. I don't really feel like drinking any more booze for a bit.
Fair.
I'm still sweating out the grapes.
Oh dear.
I know.
Hang on.
I was going to say that came out wrong, but that would also be wrong.
Not sweating out of the grapes.
No.
No, right.
And just to think, there were listeners berating us on social media to come back and do a pod. This is it.
Hemorrhoids.
Sweating for his grapes.
Come on, we all read that survey feedback. More of the same. That's what they said.
More of the same. Okay, right. So since we last spoke, what have we had? We've had a 1-1 draw at Liverpool to end the season. Remember that happening?
What, we haven't spoken since then?
Nope.
No.
Post Wolves was the last one we did.
Oh.
You remember that far back, Albert?
Yes. I just assumed we'd done that.
Well, you fucked off to Africa for about a month and put paid to everything.
A week, and that was last week. But yeah, go on. Go on. You can run with that one.
Any car crashes this time?
No, just snakes.
Snakes on the plane.
No, thank God. Snakes in just the general vicinity.
Oh fuck! Talking
Which would
about
have been
plane.
a much less exciting film. Snakes in the general vicinity.
Just move over there. End of film.
Yeah. It's funny you should say that, actually, because we were at one of the locations where we were. There was a team of snake wranglers that were going in ahead of us to wrangle snakes, as is the job description probably alludes to. And we were in this sort of quarry on the outskirts of, like, deep in Kenya. And did the safety briefing about mind that, trip hazards, all that stuff. And then the snake wrangler said, just before we get going, there is one snake here that we know about. We haven't found it yet. We found all the others. I don't know how you do that. We found all the others, but there's one snake. We know roughly where it is. Just don't go over there. And just like pointed at half of the location that we were filming at. It was like, yeah, all right. I'm just going to stand very much over here.
It was John Textor, wasn't it?
Snake on a skateboard. That's a good film as well.
Good name for a beer.
Good. Speak to your mates. Another collab.
So we haven't spoken since then, mate. So Liverpool it is. I kind of watched it on a dodgy stream, not mine, in Portugal. So not much really.
What's Portuguese for double guard of honour?
No idea.
I was going to try and make a bilingual joke, but it was bad. So
lots of I was surprised how much there is like sh like sounds in Portuguese.
Yeah, José.
I was going to say, was it an obrigado of honour?
Oh, very good. That's not bad. That's not bad.
Albert, laugh.
He's impressed. Look at he is impressed. He's like, well done.
Well, I would be impressed if I knew what that meant.
Great.
Obrigado.
Passo
what does that mean? What does that mean?
Obrigado is
thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. And well, we say obrigado. I think women say obrigado. But yeah, I think that's right.
Let's call the whole thing off.
Exactly.
So obrigado of honour works really well.
Great.
Golf clap. Another goal for Sarr. Good assist from Ty Mitchell. Unlucky not to hold on. Cost us a few million in placings by having. Oh yeah, and we had Essay crying on the pitch at the end because the sub got hooked because it was his fault for the goal. Was that about the long and short of it?
Yeah.
Essay was crying on the pitch.
Yeah, even Salah was comforting him.
I didn't see that.
He came on as a sub.
Yeah.
And then Glasner decided that it was his fault for the goal and hooked him.
Oh.
So the sub got subbed.
The sub got subbed, and then Salah had to console him at the final whistle.
Well, a lot of players were as well. It was like other Palace players as well. It wasn't just Salah, but I think Glasner alluded to it. You know, I'm a lot happier in the next day at the parade. He was like, I'm a lot happier to talk about things today than I was yesterday. Because it's like the last game of the season, there's a double guard of honour, as we've established. And he's still just not letting it go. Do you know what I mean? Still just high standards, unacceptable for anything to slip, which, I suppose is admirable on one half, but at the same time, it's kind of a bit like, come on. Come on.
Have a day off.
Yeah, have a day off. So, I was in Portugal. Didn't make the parade either. Either of you go to the parade?
Terry.
Yeah. I didn't see you there, Albert. Where were you? Not that I would see you. There's a lot of people there. But where were you situated?
What, for the parade? I was... I tried to go past the Tasty Jerk and it was all blocked. So I had to hit a right at whatever that road is. What's that road called that goes down towards the pub?
Towards the Clifton.
Towards the Clifton. and then was basically that's as far as I got. I was on that crossroads of the Clifton, so I sort of had a vague view of the bus when it came down. Was actually stood for quite a while next to Susie Izzard, who was there, and had quite a nice chat with her. And then Bernie on my shoulders. That got a bit tired really soon. Highlight up until the bus came was there was quite a low hanging branch on the left, and someone tried to sort of snap a little bit off to sea, and the whole fucking branch collapsed. Everyone was fine, but it went from there being a little dangly bit that was annoying someone to like full on branch obscuring about 40 people's view.
The new main stand demolition has started.
And then it was obviously pissing down with rain. The kids were a bit like, not feeling this. I said, don't worry. And they were all in shorts and T-shirt. I was like, oh, God, come on then. Went into the club shop and bought jumpers and tracky bums, so they were at least warm, not in the rain. Came out of the club shop, the fucking clouds parted, and it was glorious sunshine.
Did you get your points added for those?
I did in the end. I did
you?
in the end. And then, had tickets on the pitch. Half of my family were up in the stands. Some of us were on the pitch. Neil for real was having a time of his life. It was great.
It was good, wasn't it? I enjoyed it. We were on the pitch as well, and just seeing the state of some of the players as they walked sort of down the middle between the two halves of fans was quite fun. All the people that you thought would not be 100% sober were definitely not 100% sober. Will Hughes.
The other highlight was Glasner doing the Player of the Season preamble whilst holding the card that had the name on it, basically facing the camera for at least a minute before he announced it.
And wasn't he giving it a whole build-up as well of like, this guy does not come from this country.
Yeah.
He's not even from Europe, we know.
God. Danny Munoz cleans up, as we suspected he might. I think I said on the last pod before it that I thought it was between him and Dino. And I guess we don't know who came second and third. Did they mention?
I don't think
that wasn't written on that card.
Yeah, but not surprising. I think probably can argue that he deserved it along with a couple of others. So fair play to him. Getting both as well probably shows that what the players thought of him as well. So, and one of those players who voted for him, I imagine, was Mateta, who was at Munoz's wedding in Colombia. It was I didn't even realize he was getting married, and there was a few in the days leading up to it. Just Mateta looking really lanky on mopeds driving around Colombia. Amusing, but nice to see they got body. You always see it; they always seek each other out for goals, celebrations, and stuff. Get chest bumping. Mm-hmm. So nice to see that the spirit's continuing, and hopefully Mateta new contract. But we're not going to talk much about that sort of stuff on this episode. Maybe we'll do another episode in a couple of weeks or something and get some transfer business on the go. Steve Parish has been hanging out with Isla Fisher.
Has he?
Yeah.
Is that Sacha Baron Cohen's ex?
Mm-hmm. Hanging out with her, I will clarify, with. I don't know. She popped up. She on her Instagram story. Someone shared a picture online. I saw, and it was just her, Parish, and another couple of people.
There you go.
There's a "now you see me" joke in there somewhere, but I just can't be bothered.
Wasn't she in Neighbours or something?
Home and Away, I think it was.
Home and Away, was it?
Yeah.
I mean, that's all I'd know her for. Did she do other stuff?
I presume she did Now You See Me. Otherwise, I don't understand Albert's comment.
Yeah, terrible film. Now I wish I'd made a Parish. We always knew Parish liked to go Home and Away.
Nah.
That would have been better, but I didn't know she was in it.
No.
We can do some editing and just make it sound like we've got.
No, we're not going to do that.
Albert, it's pre-season.
We've all read the feedback form.
Well, if we'd all read the feedback form, Albert, you wouldn't be here and Cole would. So I think we should move on.
All right, we can edit that bit out.
Yeah, we should probably mention thank you to everyone who did fill out that horrendously long survey, which was, we host on Acast. Acast asked us to do it. Wanted a ridiculous amount of responses and so on, but it was really, really valuable feedback. We've read your comments and we will phase Albert out and get Carl in full time.
Too late. He's in a ditch.
He's in a ditch with a snake.
He's in
a... Before we move on to the sour, one last thing I wanted to talk about was tattoos. We've seen some beauties celebrating the FA Cup win. The good, the bad, and the ugly. We'll do the best we can, being that this is an audio podcast. Any particular favourites that stand out? I know you've got a couple, Hesketh.
Well, actually, one in between the time that we talked about it on WhatsApp and now, Daniel Munoz has been tagged in an Instagram post where it looks like his entire leg has just been tattooed. One with his Colombian team's badge on it, and then what looks like the FA Cup. So he's already like fully on board, like Palace tattooed on his leg. So that's, if he wasn't a cult hero already, he is now. This is going to sound like real bullshit, but it's not. I actually really like yours.
Mine,
Terry, yeah. I don't know if Albert, you doing a cover up for the Troy Deeney one or good?
So that's Carl, would you?
Who's where's it be? Holt Deeney. What was it? Yeah, that's the one.
Albert is currently wishing he was back in the vicinity of a snake in Kenya.
I'm wishing I still had the shits. Actually,
if you want to see mine, you can go on to our TikTok, put it on there, I think. But
where's yours again?
On my arm.
Oh, I'm sorry, my arm.
Above my elbow. Yeah.
How long did it take?
Oh, about 20 minutes.
20 minutes. When are they finishing it?
So it just says.
They'll put it on straight next time, I'm sure.
It's a quote from Glasner's post-match conference after the FA Cup. We could give them a moment for their life, is what it says.
It was all SA's fault.
This is too much for me, but fair shout out to my mate Grant, who got Danny Munoz holding up the FA Cup.
Oh my God.
Very large. Yeah.
What's that on? His leg?
That's
his
on
arm.
his leg. It looks like it's on his calf.
It looks bigger than actual Daniel Munoz.
But the story behind that one is that his tattoo artist is his cousin, who also happens to be a Brighton fan.
Oh shit!
So he said it was good fun getting him to do that. I was like, you're lucky it ended up looking enough like him.
Didn't have Dunk's face on it.
Yeah, exactly. There is probably somewhere in there that you can't see, like a little hidden.
Or he's done him just ever so slightly cross-eyed.
Yes. No.
My sister got one literally today. She had hers done today.
We've debated a bit on that, haven't we?
Yeah, my dad's booking his in.
Really?
Apparently so.
Is he going to go for FA Cup champions as well?
Not sure. There's all sorts of ideas flying around the WhatsApp group, none of which I'll be able to read out on air. But he's turning 70 this year, and it feels like it's the moment to do something like that.
Does he have no tattoos?
No tattoos.
Okay.
I know, not even my face on him somewhere.
I mean, if ever you're going to get one, it might as well be when we win the fucking cup.
Yeah, I'm. The thought did cross my mind, and then I thought no, because I don't think I want to do it.
You haven't got any, have you?
No, I'm not a tattoo person.
If you didn't get a tattoo after the General Levy video saying nil for real, I think your moment passed.
That is tattooed permanently on my mind.
What's your favourite, Hesketh? You was mentioning some interesting grammatical choices.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whose it was, and I hope if they're listening, they'll hate me. Just FA and FA Cup should be capitals. That's my only.
Capital
Big
F,
little A.
It should be big F,
big A.
Big A.
Who's what? And someone's got one capital F, little A.
And big C, yeah. And I think it was big F, little A, little C. But it's not my tattoo, is it? So people can get what they want.
The absolute worst one I've seen, and again, I'm sorry if you listen. It's in the middle of his back. It says, it says winners 2025. Oh, yeah. And it's Joel Ward and Mark Gay knelt down holding the cup up in front of the thing, and
looks more like Bert and Ernie.
Just in picking up my phone to show you that, I just seen Gareth Southgate's been knighted today, which I hadn't.
Say Gareth Southgate's got a cup tattoo. Yeah. Capital A, I hope. He used to work for him.
he should know. Yeah, exactly. Oh, you see, weirdly got turned down for the Poland job. Very strange.
That's weird. Lewandowski didn't want him to have it, probably.
Well, I guess no one would have known, but Poland came out and told everyone that he'd applied and that they wanted a Polish person to do the job, which is why they rejected him. Very strange. Probably been out of football for a few.
It's better than them saying we didn't give it to him because he's shit. At least they've come up with a
not shit. Come on.
No, I'm not saying he's shit. I'm saying it's good that they have given a logistical reason why he hasn't got the job, rather than we think he's shit.
You see, we thought he was going to become our next Roy Hodgson, but it turns out he's going to end up being England's Roy Hodgson, where he's going to have to come back when Tuchel gets sacked in the next group meetup or whatever, and he has to come back in and take us to World Cup glory. Right, enough waffling. Let's get on to what you're here for. So, John Textor has provisionally legal binding contracts have been signed, but John Textor sold to New York Jets owner Woody Johnson. He's 45% stake for circa 190 million quid, somewhere around that. Obviously not come out of the blue. He's been trying to get rid of them for a while, but before we get into it, we'll talk about what's happened resultingly at Lyon first, I think. So I did very much enjoy John Textor standing outside waiting for the verdict on what they call the DNCG we're going to do with Lyon. And you could tell he thought he was in the bag. He thought it was fine. Lyon were going to be fine. Everything was going to be fine. Turns out they probably haven't taken too kindly to him just laying into him over the last couple of years. And despite him standing outside saying, I've really enjoyed the process this time round. Everything's been great, blah, 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 blah. Just before they go, get the fuck out of Ligue 1 is effectively what's happened. Very enjoyed it. But obviously there's been a lot of noise and quite a fair bit of confusion about Textor selling his stake to Woody Johnson. Some are calling it a selfless act. Claiming he did it to help Palace get into Europa League. But let's be honest, that's not the full picture. I think the idea that Textor's some sort of martyr and sold his stake to help Palace qualify for the Europa League is utter bollocks, quite frankly.
Agreed.
Geezer's been trying to shag Everton for the past fucking 18 months.
Yeah. And now he's trying to shag Sheffield Wednesday, I think.
Oh.
Yeah, he sold his
I'd rather
stake.
stick my knob in a toffee than an owl, given the choice.
Maybe.
Let us know on socials. What would you rather do?
Yeah. Shocking. The reality is, though, he's obviously sold to Lyon to save sold Palace to save Lyon. There's our Europa League qualification had fuck all to do with it. Lyon's finances have fallen apart. He's made over 100 people redundant. He's been selling off players, including Shirky, to Man City. Little interesting side note on Shirky is that and Ain't Nori, more Dougie Freeman masterclass scouting, tried to get both of those in the last 3 years ago. So look at him now. And obviously he's been doing serious cost-cutting measures at Lyon as well, everything to try and get it over the line with the DNCG, but they still weren't satisfied and have said, nah, mate, see you later. Tex obviously thought he'd have a bit more time, pressure built, sold Palace, but basically all in the end it's not been enough because he hasn't sold Palace yet. So obviously got to go through all of the checks and the fit and proper tests and all of that. So yeah, which is why I think in what ideally Textor would have wanted and maybe expected was for Blitzer and Harris after the FA Cup win to go, here's the offer for your stake. And then that just in a nice, neat little bow, Europa League, everything's taken care of because the sale then takes place instantly. And that's the difference. If it goes to Harris and Blitzer, already done the fit and proper test, don't need to do it again, obviously. So the sale, cash exchange hands, done and dusted right there and then, which obviously would have helped Textor's case with the DNCG. But basically they couldn't agree on a price. And I think pricing it is probably, depends who's looking at it, right? So you're trying to value 45% of the club with only 25% of the say. So it's not a straightforward deal in that sense. And of course, like Texas made money out of it. But, my little birdies are saying that it's probably circa 15-ish% undervalued in the deal he's got. And yeah, so obviously I think Parish, Blitz and Harris would have all been happy if they could have got their hands on it at a cut price. But I don't think it's a huge disaster that we're going to have someone else coming in, because investment-wise, I don't think there's no doubt about Woody Johnson's money. We know it's there. We know how much he's worth. And I think having 4 people is a bit better of a situation, particularly for Parish as well, I think. Because if the relationship goes sour with Harris and Blitzer, then all of a sudden they can just overrule him on everything by teaming up on him in the board.
Yeah, I think that's it. What would their total stake have been?
Well, then they would have just all had 33% voting rights, regardless of whatever the breakup of the deal was. But Parish would have way less, because there's no way Parish would have been able to front the money to buy equally within that. I'd imagine it would have been Harris and Blitzer probably shouldering most of it. So I think voting rights wise, it's better to have 4. But anyway, back to Lyon. So what is really key to understand is Lyon weren't deducted points. They've been relegated, but they were not deducted points. Their 6th placing in the league still counts. However, there is a but, and a pretty big but. They've lost their license to play in League One next season, and as a result, been relegated. But under UEFA rules, if you break the financial fair play of your country, you're breaking UEFA rules too, which means you cannot gain a license to play European football. So if the relegation is upheld, it's extremely unlikely that Lyon would still be able to take part in Europe as a result, which obviously massively benefits us. But of course, the problem we've got now is Lyon are going to appeal. And they say they're going to appeal, and it's got to be in by the 1st of July, their appeal. And they haven't submitted it yet. So once that appeal goes in, if it does, the DNCG have got a reply by the 14th of July. But history has told us that it's usually done a lot quicker than that. They usually do it within a week. So you'd expect it sort of by the 8th of July. And if they lose that appeal, then they'll very likely take it to the CNOSF, I think it's called, which is the higher court of sports in France. And then there's no clear timeline on that one. So I think that's a disaster, basically, if it ends up getting there for just everyone in terms of what happens. A decision will have to be made, basically, which hopefully will end up favouring us. I think it probably would in the circumstances, given that, whilst they see it's provisional then, he's going to be out of the club, because I can't imagine that William Johnson isn't going to pass a fit and proper test, because he'd be able to prove all the finances quite easily. So, yeah, I think it still falls in our favour, but that's just me speculating. So in terms of what it means for us in Europe, we're still submitting evidence that we're not a multi-club operation. Textor has never had material control, and every constitution and board paper since 2022 backs that up. So we're confident in that position. But, Textor is still technically an owner. That's why UEFA and the Premier League are proceeding with caution. The Premier League's fit and proper persons test that is going to take a couple of months. The NCG didn't fully recognise Textor's sale of Palace because in their eyes it's still provisional. So UEFA might take the same approach. So unfortunately, no, I just think it's a bit more of a waiting game.
Hell.
Yeah, it's frustrating, isn't it? Because, like you say, when you actually delve into the bare facts, Textor never had a controlling, majority, and he sold, touch wood, selling a stake, and his other club are going to get kicked out. Like, it's pretty nailed on that should sort of clear the runway for us. But fucking hell, red tape and time and courts, it's a bit of a mess.
Yeah, and what pisses me off a lot about, I mean, obviously on this podcast we've not been massive fans of Textor.
Speak for yourself.
Falling off his skateboard, which is funny. But like the whole multi-club thing, it's like we're the least multi-club ever. I think the only bit of business Lyon and us have done is us selling them Jake O'Brien for fuck all, and them getting like 20 million off Everton for him. And when you consider, actual multi-club ownership, where they have played in the same competition, but they found little loopholes to go through, and they've put stuff on a blind trust and all this sort of shit. And it's like, look, we all know what you're doing. Those sort of partnerships and those sort of teams are really gaming the system. Whereas we've just had this bit of a twat as one of our owners who didn't really materially do a huge amount. I know he put in money here and there, and that's great. But in terms of this multi-club thing and him making all the decisions, obviously he didn't. Everyone knows it. And the joke was that he's spent all this money to have, whatever they said, is the most expensive season ticket in the league or whatever, because he just don't do anything. So that's what really pisses me off, because all of this has come out of that. And really, there was absolutely no proof or benefit of us being in a multi-club partnership or whatever they call it. And we should just be celebrating that we're in Europe and enjoying our holidays.
Do you know who does benefit mostly from Textor's multi-club? Is Marinakis at Forest, and he's multi-clubs.
But
selling players to each other left, right, and centre. Like, what the fuck is going on?
If it comes out that Textor's looking to buy into Forest or make Forest one of his teams, I would not be fucking surprised. Because when all this was going on, when Forest put the letter in, all of the stuff that came out, they were like, well, Forest passed PSR because they flogged 2 players to Lyon, and they're buying 3 Botafogo players for less than they would be expected. Lyon have just bought Matt Turner for 8 million. That in itself is like eyebrow raising.
And Lyon's goalkeeper's gone the other way on loan.
Yeah, it's well dodgy.
It is very, very dodgy. And I also just don't understand, if you saw recently a fantastically worded tweet from Nottingham Forest saying that Marinakis has handed Nuno Espirito Santos a new 3-year contract. Well, but aside from the fact of why is it worded that way, who words anything that way? So how is he doing that? Because aren't he shares in a blind trust at Forest?
Yeah. Trespassing on the pitch last time I saw him.
How is that? He should be banned. That's pitch invading. He should be getting a stadium ban for a couple of years. All very, very strange. But hey, we'll see. Yeah, but hopefully, I know we've joked about Textor being supremely confident in front of the hearing earlier and then getting slapped into League 2. That's not how you say it, is it? League 2. Like League 2 don't sound right. But getting slapped into League 2, maybe we're falsely confident in our position, but I don't think so. I'm not really sure how they could prove otherwise, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But the good news is, this is a bit of a hark back to Media Watch. I was on TalkSport earlier this week, so you would have heard the same quote from me if you listened to that, where I said, we've replaced one unhinged rich man from America with another unhinged rich man from America. So while we bid adieu to John Textor and we lose skateboarding jokes, we lose pitchside rants in Botafogo, calling the entire Brazilian Football Federation corrupt, we are gaining some heritage, it would appear. So he had a track record of dysfunction and instability, Jets fans like to say. Johnson has overseen one of the most chaotic and underperforming franchises in American sports in the New York Jets, where they haven't made the playoffs for 15 years, which for most teams that's dreadful, but for a team from New York is just like crazy, really. And it's obviously the longest period in their history that they've gone without making playoffs. So that doesn't bode well. In his 25 years there, 8 coaches and 7 general managers, which is, again, in American sports is unheard of. There's far more longevity, particularly in the NFL. They hang around for a lot longer. So that's good. His decision-making appears impulsive, erratic, and at times based on trivial detail, i.e. using Madden ratings. Now, that Madden ratings got me thinking, who's for the Chopper Palace? If he's basing players off of their stats on Madden, a computer game.
Sorry, just that's the equivalence of saying like FIFA.
Correct.
Yeah.
And the person who does a lot of the stats, looking at stats on Madden for him, is his son, whose name is Brick.
Right, so obviously on
Brick. Has he got another relative called Straw?
In FIFA, you're rated out of 99, I believe, and his Palace's players, Eze, Gay, and Kamada are all 81.
Okay.
Munoz is 80. And then Decore, Henderson, Lerma, Mateta are all 79. 78 for Wharton, 77 for Mitchell, 76 for Lacroix, 76 for Nketiah, Richards, Sarr, and now Will Hughes is in big trouble. Oh. He's not even got a gold card. He's a silver card and rated 74. Oof. So I think he's out. Rob Holding and Jeffrey Schlupp, Joel Ward, 73. Job's been done before he's got here, so
yeah,
he's sorted on them. Chaddy Riyad, 72. Mateus Francis, 69.
Nice.
He's out the door.
He's out.
Remy Matthews is a 63, and there's no charisma stat because his charisma stat would be 99, I imagine, which 100%. Is why they keep him around. But Justin Devaney, 60. Yeah, old Brick Johnson's going to be having a field day.
Brick ain't having it.
You've got to replace them. They can't play. I've seen it on FIFA. So this is all good news so far. Now, this is one area where it's going to be interesting to see how this manifests because he's accused a lot of micromanagement, especially where he's not welcome. Albert, get a load of this one. Despite being an owner, Johnson is described as meddling in daily football operations, including lineup decisions, trades, and even locker room dynamics. Do you reckon Glasner's going to enjoy old Woody coming in and telling him that he's got to start Nketiah over Mateta?
Has he seen our locker rooms? That's the can't swing it. Can't meddle with anything in there.
That's not true anymore. They're better now. That's right. Knocked the wall through, made it a bit bigger.
I mean, I can't imagine he's going to be meddling too much. You would expect that he's still going to spend 95% of his time in the States, and that's all we can hope for.
He reportedly forced coaching decisions and overall professionals based on his instincts, or at times, input from his teenage sons. This is good. Poor professional boundaries. Now, before we go too far, I don't think this is in a Neil Shipley sense or anything like that. Johnson and his family have been disruptive presences in the locker room, publicly criticising players and interfering with morale. Now, this is incredibly interesting, right? Because you would think the culture that Dougie Freeman and everyone else has helped to create with making sure the locker room is full of good personalities, no egos, but good egos, those kind of things there. And the last two owners through the doors all appear to be utter mentalists.
What could go wrong?
What can go wrong here? Because you imagine him just coming out on Match of the Day or something, just slagging off Chris Richards for misplacing a pass or something.
No, he won't do that. He's American.
America. Shout out Chris Richards, who scored the other night against Saudi Arabia in a 1-0 win in what I described as the most South London of USA goals, because it was assisted by none other than Greg Berhalter's son, who was born in South London when he was a Crystal Palace player.
And his first name is Brick Morley's.
Morley's. His name is Tasty Berhalter.
Yeah, Tasty.
Unfortunately, it's Sebastian. No,
Close enough.
Yeah. After the photographer, the club photographer,
yeah,
I believe, who definitely wasn't there at that point. Allowing unqualified individuals, families, or investors into key operational meetings. This suggests a lack of respect for boundaries and professional governance.
He's going to dial us in on Skype.
Looking at you, Byfield.
Yeah. But the worst of all, and again, this sort of harks back to what I was just saying about culture, is saying his staff described the Jets as a toxic environment where feedback is stifled and decisions are top-down, reactive, and poorly informed. Anyone seen the movie Office Space?
Yeah.
The term "the Bobs" is used to describe his consulting group, and it's which is, you haven't seen Office Space. Albert,
that's
love
weird.
It. You
that's
would love
weird
it,
that
mate.
you haven't seen that film.
Never even heard of it.
It's great.
It is a great film.
Talking about yourself.
Yeah. But obviously, a lot is different at Palace and at the Jets. He doesn't have full control, so obviously he only holds a 25% voting right. So he can't just control Palace, can he? With 25%, whatever. We've also had the fact that Parrish, Blitzer, and Harris would have had to have cleared the sale. They would have voted for it, yes or no. So they feel like he can come in and fit in right, which has obviously got to be a positive. If we just continue down just the way we are, like he's dilated, he can't really have this decisive say over things. He shouldn't be able to have this impact over Palace.
No.
And he, as you said earlier, Hesketh, there's suggestions that he's reined it in a bit recently.
Mm-hmm.
And there could be, suggestions that he'll continue to do so at Crystal Palace and just be a bit more of a silent partner and just flood in the money, and that's acceptable.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the hope is, I mean, he obviously thinks he knows about the NFL and quite clearly doesn't, but yeah, he I'm sure he knows fuck all about football, proper football, not NFL. So hopefully he'll just, Parrish and the other two will be like, this is a good decision, give us some money for it. This player's good, give us some money for it, and he'll just do it. Obviously
he's got really good ratings on Madden.
Yeah. He can throw a touchdown really well. I mean, his time at the Jets sounds shit, obviously, but like you said, I hope with him only having one vote out of 4, unless he tries to buy out the other 2 and then starts dicking about with us.
Or brings his family along and claims he's got more votes.
Yeah. Like, as long as that doesn't.
What are you saying, Brick?
We should be all right. We should be all right. And like you said, he's rich. He's not just football rich. He's proper rich. So, just pump some money into the club, mate. Might even see the new stand.
Although the Woody Johnson stand's got a nice ring to it, hasn't it?
It does.
I think the main stand was made out of Woodies and Johnsons.
Well, we're going to have to try and temper out the jokes on this. It's too easy. But is he going to be able to invest loads, considering he's just recently lost a very big cash cow in all the baby oil for P. Diddy's parties? He hasn't got that sweet revenue coming in anymore. Does he? He don't still own Johnsons and Johnsons, does he?
Who would he?
Yeah.
Hey, I bet he would.
I would. It definitely goes to one of the parties.
That's the problem.
And is that where his fortune came from? That is.
Yeah, that's his family.
Diddy rather than Woody. As in did he, not Diddy, not that guy.
Forget it.
Woody,
yeah,
Diddy.
He's the heir to the Johnson and Johnson. What is it? A throne?
I don't think they make chairs.
Yeah, Robert Woody Johnson.
Oh God, it's hard. I was going to say it's hard. That I can't even say that. I hope he's not.
There's just there's a joke to be had here, but it's completely oversharing and it's a very personal joke. So unfortunately, it has to slide.
We'll take that offline.
We'll take that offline.
No, I don't think I want to hear it even off air, actually.
But all in all, big endorser of Trump.
He's not all bad then.
Trump had him as, wasn't it, the liaison to the British government?
Yeah, he was the ambassador. Yeah,
so, ambassador. That was it.
That's where he fell in love with English
Morley's.
soccer ball.
Soccer.
Yeah, he's tried to pounce on Brexit to get us to have hormone-infected beef, I think, was one of his things. But, you know, rich people tend to be complete dickheads at that level.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can't be a billionaire if you're completely sane.
Yeah, I don't know. So, I mean, I'm just a bit like with Textor. I'm still a bit, well, not a bit, a lot standoffish. I think in different ways. With Textor, I always felt we all just couldn't put our finger on it, but it was just like, this all feels wrong, and it feels like it could go horribly wrong.
Every single thing that's happened with Textor, we've all been like, yeah. Like, obviously, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, I don't think, I'm far more relaxed in terms of, in this sense, I don't see it ending in an administration or a ban from Europe or anything like that with this. But I don't think there's any doubts that he's a bit of a...
Johnson.
A bit of a Johnson.
Indeed. Yeah. I mean, if he wants to come on the podcast and convince us otherwise, he's more than welcome. But I doubt he'd want to field my questions.
He'll send Brick.
He'll send Brick. Brick Johnson. What does he look like? I reckon he looks like every teenage boy from every American movie. Yep, that's exactly what he looks like.
Yeah, I've just Googled it. Again, this is an audio podcast. If you're listening to this,
I'm thinking of his son from King of the Hill.
If you're listening to this, Google Brick Johnson as you listen, and it's exactly what you think.
Yeah. Jets angrily deny astonishing claim Woody Johnson's teenage sons influenced team decisions. Jack and Brick. Jack Johnson.
Wasn't he a singer?
I think he was.
Yeah, he was.
So there you have it.
Looks nice though.
Whose?
I'm assuming
Woody's
that's Mrs. Woody.
Brick Johnson's got an Instagram account, but it's private.
Boo.
Oh God, his profile is Brick Johnson NYC at Harvard Men's Tennis. I don't think me and him would be getting on.
No,
to be honest,
probably not.
We probably don't socialise in the same circles either. I doubt he's down the craft beer cabin on Sellers Road that often, to be honest.
He might be at one of Albert's haunts, where all the money goes.
He's in Soho House having a deconstructed Morley's burger.
Exactly. Where Albert can make.
To be fair,
I was going to say you can make jokes about there being a snake in his boot. Toy Story tag there, thank you. Fucking hell! I should have just left it with the Portuguese one.
For the next podcast, I've got a brilliant Shooting Stars gag. Gonna have to wait for the next pod.
Tune in.
What a way to end it.
Exactly. The dove from above. No, it's not that round. Right. That's it. So we don't have a plan at the moment. We have a very loose plan for perhaps another pod in a couple of weeks or something. Just keep your guys' whistles wet or whatever you say.
Keep your woodies wet.
The wood from the hood.
The wood from the hood. Yes. So potentially we'll get a transfer window one in at some point. Try and do an early transfer one as well or something. But I'll leave you with I saw a stat about Eddie Nketiah. And most big chances missed per 90 minutes across the last 3 Premier League seasons. Eddie Nketiah's 4th on that list.
Bloody hell.
Misses 0.7 of a big chance per game.
Fuck.
Which,
that sounds bad.
On this list with him is Darwin Núñez, who misses a whole one chance. One big chance for 90 is special. Erling Haaland, Nicholas Jackson, Eddie Nketiah, Diogo Jota. I reckon with a whole pre-season, Glasner's going to turn those into goals.
We're getting into realms of outrageous prediction here.
And that might be an early indicator of what my outrageous prediction might be.
Motherfucker, I know what it is.
Something along I haven't refined it yet, but something along the lines of Nketiah to outscore Mateta next season might be on there.
That is outrageous.
Mainly because Mateta signed for United and can't score for Toffee by that. Okay, so keep an eye out to the socials for what might happen over the next couple of weeks. And it was good dipping our toe in again, just keep warm over the summer.
Sounds disgusting. No, it's been nice to catch up and talk about Woody and Brick and European glory.
I think we're fine with Textor going now because Woody and Brick has just automatically replaced them. I think that's a goldmine.
There's lots of jokes to be had for sure. And talking of European glory, I do have my hotel booked for the Europa League final in Istanbul. Just so you know.
I'm going to follow suit.
And I haven't cancelled it yet. And I don't plan on cancelling it because we're going to be there.
Make sure you put it in the family calendar.
It's in the family calendar. Don't worry about that. Looking forward to being on a family holiday in Cornwall when the Europa League draw's made, and I'm going to have to be there booking flights for the next day. Just being like, sorry, love, I'm out of commission for at least half of this day because I need to find some cheap Ryanair flights to Slovakia or something.
On that shit hot Cornish 5G broadband. Yeah.
Go back to the shop where you got the Kevin Miller book. Yeah. Can I just tag onto your Wi-Fi, please?
Maybe I'll go to Kevin Miller's house and just do it there with him. If you've read his autobiography, you'll know that he did work as a travel agent for a while after he retired. So.
Nailed it.
I remember.
Is that true?
I remember that.
Was it a travel agent? No, I don't think that's quite right. I think no, that's what he did. He sold sponsorships to football clubs is what he did. That's what he did.
Close enough.
Or VIP experiences at grounds and things like that. He did stuff like that. Close enough.
Man of many talents.
We'll never get into it now because that podcast ain't happening. The love left the building ain't happening. This will be the last ever mention of Kevin Miller on this podcast. Right, anyway, brilliant. Thanks for listening, guys. And until next time, up the Palace.